Hey guys, just want to do a quick video of the 5 red flags to look out for. 5 ones I did, just major ones that I believe tend to be pretty easy to spot, and I just want to talk a little bit about them. Starting with love bombing. These are kind of in order. Um, Love bombing, of course, idealizing you, putting you up on a pedestal, insane sex, anything you want to do in the bedroom, depending on the the condition or the depth of the females, condition with narcissism, maybe sociopathy, maybe they actually don't even have the capability for empathy and don't even can't even have a concept of it. Then you can deal with some very crazy levels of love bombing where you can essentially be your ego will be lifted through the moon and it'll be very addictive, and it's not healthy, and look out for that one because yeah it's a tractor beam. So that's the love bombing. Then we got external validation. Look out for that one. That's all those things, crazy, Instagram, they got all the social medias, they're on all the social medias all the time. They can't be alone, right? So on the couch, you'll be hanging out, maybe writing, maybe reading, maybe you know doing some research, whatever, and you'll see them on the couch just scrolling and liking things and just getting that dopamine and you know taking photos of themselves, taking photos of their food, constantly on the social media, looking for external validation, as well as having big social groups that they love bomb as well. They give them that supply, and it's just that you know just distracting themselves from themselves essentially. So love bombing. Number two, external validation. We got three at drama. Gossiping with these friends um, about just talking crap about each other, and reactive abuse. I put under drama. Maybe the strongest manipulative tactic I've experienced my whole life and didn't really know exactly what was happening. Reactive abuse, of course, is it's very typical, depending on the levels of where someone will go. But it can go from like everything's a spectrum, just kind of playful, right? And seeing poking you and seeing what you do, and that's just human beings. But at a malicious level, again, reactive abuse, getting somebody who has a very unhealthy character, narcissist, will use knowingly or unknowingly, doesn't really matter. It's uh, abusing you to have you react, and then depending on you are in the relationship, it can be early on for let's say just validation where they want attention. So you're not giving attention, you have a boundary, you want to whatever, you're working on a computer, and then them poking you until you freak out, and then they got a reaction out of you. The other side is later in the relationship, maybe they use that against you to create. Again, I don't want to go too tangential here, but I'll just say it can be a lot more about creating uh, the bad, for lack of a better term, the bad reputation about you. So you get angry, then they use that against you to uh, whatever create a narrative about you that you're abusive or whatever. But they had all the intention of just getting that reaction. So that's drama. We got the bait and switch at 4 here, which could be kind of more before drama, somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the beginning, wherever. It just depends on the cycle. So that's when you meet them, very generous. That's just an example. Very generous um, with their time. Most people start to soften, and everyone wants to show their best side at first, right? But again, there's degrees to this. And with a narcissist, you got a very, it's based in selfishness. So the example of this would be the very, very generous early on, and then slowly, I'd say they would always split groceries, and then they stop or they start slowing down payment, and that's another manipulative tactic. The carrot on the stick, blah blah blah. You're doing everything great in the beginning, and then you start to not only, not you, meaning the narcissist, will do everything they can to be generous, and then not only be late in helping pay for something, but then use that against you and create more drama around that. So it's, drama is like the glue that holds all this shit together. So yeah, so that's the bait and switch, basically wearing a mask, and slowly showing the true colors. Usually when you move in, someone moves in with you, that's, you only know, like they say, you only really know someone when you live with them. So yeah, that's just an example of the bait and switch. So that's one to look out for. Hopefully they haven't moved in with you yet, and there's time to get out when you see, hopefully, the love bomb, the external validation, and the drama with the gossip with the friends and big social circles and being the center of attention. And lastly, here I got crossing of boundaries or disrespecting your boundaries, or not, because boundaries are about you, and whether you don't have them early on and start creating them, and then that person decides to cross them because they don't have boundaries for themselves, or you have strong boundaries in the beginning of the relationship, and then they slowly try to erode those boundaries, through tactics like gift giving, and then using that to, wasn't a gift if it's now used against you later on during a fight, and then crossing boundaries, using that as ammunition, stuff like that. So crossing the boundaries, I have at 5. That's usually when things are about to get really bad, and you need to protect yourself. If you're lucky enough to find this video, or you're in this, that sounded bad, lucky enough to find this video, but you know what I mean. If you just happen to come across this video, or you're, just doing the work and you're realizing something's wrong in the relationship, like this is time to set up a protection for yourself, and slowly start to separate, slowly start to get a second opinion, whether it's family. Unfortunately, when it's a terrible tragedy that these people are often picked, and we pick people based off our what was modeled for us in childhood. So often family will either have a biased opinion, not be around, be toxic, be whatever, and or you just, that if you're really deep in it, that it can look like, comfort. It can look like, it's familiarity. So yeah, so love bombing, that's how it starts. External validation, big red flag. Usually can spot that before the love bombing stage. So those kind of go back and forth. That's a real easy one nowadays. That's everywhere in our culture. I think it is creating narcissists. So I think, a lot of social disorders, especially personality disorders, you can exacerbate them, in my opinion. And if you have some weaknesses in your character and in your beliefs of yourself, you can really drink the Kool-Aid of narcissism. I've been there. Everyone, I think, to a degree, it's a spectrum. And yeah, I think more and more people are getting off the social medias. We realize how bad it's affecting our ability to connect and our delusion. Basically, just it's unhealthy. It's like basically across the board unhealthy. So get off of social media. If you see people overdoing it, separate. Don't pick that person. It's not going to be good. It's always going to be about feeding their supply, and you'll come second to. And not only that, but often a woman with a lot of followers is just the first sign of trouble. They have an out. immediately. Whatever, all the pickings of dudes. So that's just an otherwise healthy woman can be can go down, that road and be tempted by, essentially, women want security. So it's a hard here I am just kind of like excusing actions. I don't need to go all tangential, but yeah, social media, taking photos of their freaking food, doing all that stuff, taking sexy photos, all that stuff. It's just, and that's something you got to do early on in the relationship. Say, this is something I don't do. I don't take women seriously that have, this kind of this setup with these different profiles and what they're putting out there. And you can just keep it at a, fun level, be friends and be whatever. And maybe she'll, you know, come around. But usually if you do that later on in the relationship, it looks like control and weakness. So it's usually not a very good idea to do later on. Yeah, but that's basically it. Love bombing, external validation, drama. Again, the glue that holds it all together. The bait and switch, which is kind of a hard one. It's, just one I thought of that it's, depending on the degree of it, it could be a red flag. That person is, usually more honest, and then they start lying to you, or just little things, little lies. It shows a lot about character. If you're willing to lie about little things, the big things are inevitably going to come up that are just going to be bullshit. Yeah, and then boundaries. Again, crossing your boundaries. Boundaries are important. Again, boundaries are for you. You have to set them. They're not for other people. They're you framing your world for your health and your sanity, and it's not about them. Boundaries are very important. For more now for men than ever, as society continues to essentially tell men that they, we're cattle, we're sperm donors, we're whatever we are, and masculinity is bad. It's the exact opposite. Masculinity and boundaries are the cornerstone of a healthy man and a healthy society, and boundaries are paramount to a healthy relationship, starting with the man. And that's that, guys. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.